Hello chess lovers, Suri here, and I have a fantastic attacking game for you played by the reigning world chess champion Magnus Carlsen. His opponent is Suri Vaibhav, and this game was played on chess.com during 2018 Pro Chess League tournament. Now let's see how the game went on. This was a rapid game and Vaibhav started the game with e4, d5 by Carlsen. Carlsen is choosing the Scandinavian defense. He takes d5. Here the main move is queen takes d5, but Carlsen responded with knight f6, which is the second most popular move. The idea is to capture on d5 with a knight and not allow white to develop his knight with a tempo. In this case, black is like losing a tempo. That's why after e takes d5, knight f6 was played, d4, which is the most common choice, to knight f6, bishop g4 and f3. Not the strongest continuation. Instead of playing f3, there is a very tricky line which I would like to share with you. Actually, bishop b5 check is stronger. If c6, then white can go for this aggressive d takes c6 move. Right now, of course, capturing on d1 can be very dangerous because black can go for c7 discovered check, and actually this is going to be winning for white. Let's promote the pawn to a rook. I really like this move, and then simply bishop takes c6 and white is capturing on d1, and in the end of the day, if we have a look at the position, white is simply a piece up. That's why after d takes c6, black should go for knight takes c6, and only now white can think about protecting his queen. Like for example, white can simply develop his knight and no problem at all. But in the game after, bishop g4 f3 was played, which is somewhat hindering the development of the knight. Bishop f5, c4, e6. Carlsen is instantly challenging white's pawn structure on the center, d takes e6, and instead of recapturing, Carlsen goes for this hyper-aggressive knight c6 move. He's allowing black to capture on f7 as well. E takes f7 is on the board and white is announcing a check. Look at this. A few moves earlier, the pawn was just standing on e2, and then suddenly this pawn appears on f7 square. King takes f7, bishop e3. After this move, black is managing to gain advantage. It was better to play knight e2. Now if knight b4 with the idea of knight c2 check, then actually white has to make a very important decision and play knight g3. Otherwise, if you play something like knight a3, then this can be terrible. Black can announce a check from d3 square, and then the bishop can join the attack, and then queen takes d4. This is just a total destruction. That's why after knight b4, white should play knight g3. If knight c2 check, then king f2. If knight takes d4, then c5, freeing this c4 square for the bishop. If bishop takes c5, then bishop e3, and white is actually managing to hold. No problem. But instead, after king takes f7, bishop e3 was played, after which Carlsen is instantly gaining advantage. Now comes the bishop b4 check, king f2. Of course, if you play something like knight c3, then black can play rook e8. If queen d2, then simply queen takes d4. This is going to be very unpleasant for white. That's why after bishop b4 check, king f2 was played, rook e8, knight c3, and here we go. Carlsen went for an exchange sacrifice, rook takes e3. Though black is 2 pawns down, but already all black pieces are developed and Carlsen can unleash a mighty attack. King takes e3. Look at this white king in the center of the board, and using the vulnerability of white king, knight takes d4 is on the board. Look at this. Right now, queen takes d4 can be met with queen e7 check. If king f2, then bishop c5, the game is over. Or after queen e7 check, if king d2, this time the rook can join the attack, and again white is losing his queen. Let's go back. In the game after knight takes d4, king f2 was played. White is bringing his king on a safer square, but now comes the bishop c5, and at any moment unpleasant discovered checks can occur. Knight a4, white is taking under attack the bishop on c5, but now comes bishop c2. We have a deadly fork. Knight takes c5. White decided to give up his queen. Well, if we move like queen d2, then simply knight takes f3. White will lose his queen, or after bishop c2, if queen c1, then simply either bishop takes a4 is winning, or even black can win white queen. That's why white decided to capture on c5 and give away his queen after bishop c2. Rook takes d1, queen e7. Carlsen is both unpinning his knight and at the same time is counter-attacking white knight. b4, rook e8. Right now the knight is untouchable because there is a mating threat. Bishop d3, queen e3 check, king f1, b6. Carlsen is kicking away the knight from this active square. Knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, c5, b takes c5, and another exchange sacrifice. This time rook takes e4. This is fantastic, guys. Well, actually, after bishop takes e4 instead of c5, again, Carlsen could go for rook takes e4, but only after c5, b takes c5, he went for rook takes e4. This bishop on e4 square was actually standing very solidly. That's why Carlsen is removing the defender. F takes e4, queen f4 check. Right now, if we have a look at the position, white has two rooks against the queen, but taking into consideration the fact that white king is exposed, it becomes an easy target for black pieces. King e1, queen takes e4 check, king f2, queen c2 check, king e1, and b takes c5, after which white resigned. The thing is that now black is simply threatening, for example, queen takes g2, and if you play something like rook d2, then black can give some more checks, and then queen c1. It turns out that actually white is facing serious problems because it's going to be very difficult to protect the rook. If rook d3, then queen c2 check, and then knight f5 check. Now if a move like king e4, then king f6, and this king now is in a real danger. At any moment black can capture on c4. White can also lose his rook. For example, if knight f3, then queen takes c4 check, and the game is over. That's why, understanding that his position is hopeless after b takes c5, Suri Vaibhav resigned. A very impressive game, I think, played by the reigning world chess champion. This was like a game played in Tigran Petrosyan style. We saw double exchange sacrifice in the most brutal style. Thanks for watching. Here are more suggestions for you. For more games, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will see you in the next video.